Thank you, everybody. You look fabulous. You look like you should be at the opening ceremony for the festival. You do. You all look wonderful. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
The first thing I wanted to ask you is, in the UK, you have been known for many years for writing historical crime. And why did you decide to change your genre and start writing fantasy? And how is it different to build fantasy world rather than a crime novel, or a historical crime novel?
Yeah. I've always loved fantasy. It's my first love, as science fiction and fantasy. And the music is it's good. It was in time with me. The first book that I wrote was never published. And that was a gothic fantasy with vampires. It's not very good, so that's why it was never published. It was very much a first book, lots of problems with it, But I learnt a lot. But when I was writing that, some of it was written in the past because it was a vampire novel, and it was an old character, so he'd lived in this part. So that I got interested in that part of the history.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I wrote the historical crime. So it was the other way around. So
it started with fantasy.
I came back. Yeah, I came back to fantasies. Yeah.
I think this book has been built maybe after a lot of research. And how did you come up with the idea of animals?
So after I finished my previous series, I took a break. I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to write fantasy, an epic fantasy, but I needed to just pause. And so I went to the British Library and called up books on anything I was interested in, from court dress to, I can't remember now, tapestries, fairy tales, folk tales. And animal symbolism, because I'm just very interested in it. And I found there were connections, particularly in terms of it's hard to explain, but so the animal symbolism and then animal behaviour, the two together, and how they intertwine. And that's where I became interested in that side. And I can never remember which way round it happened. Sorry, this is like... It's
okay.
But I thought of a world where there had been an environmental catastrophe. And I thought that naturally the gods that would come out of that, the religion that would come out of that, would be to do with nature, and so that this doesn't happen again. So that was the idea, and so that they all wove together in my mind. So,
and you did a great job. I think it's really a really original and creative part of the book, and a lot of people are wondering what animal could I identify with.
Yes,
it's like your Hogwarts house, your Harry Potter house. I feel like.
Well, we did, in the UK, we did a survey where you could answer questions.
Yeah, we also
you have it.
one.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good.
So that's why I'm curious to know also about not only about the animal part, but also about the characters. And I think you have brought really morally grey characters, and I think that a lot of readers prefer villains rather than the good ones, the heroes. So I think that's a thing that how did you decided to write this type of characters, and who do you feel more relatable to?
With characters, I always do a lot of work before I write anything. So to understand where they've come from, particularly their backgrounds, the significant events in their lives, things that have shaped them.
Yeah.
because I feel until I know that, I can't start the novel, because I want to know their background so that when I'm writing, I understand how and why they might behave as they do. And when you're talking about grey characters, I think then almost inevitably they're grey, because we all have within us.
Yes, we're not black and white.
Yeah. So and when, of course, in a novel, you're putting them in extreme situations.
Yeah.
And they're being tested literally. So their experiences, their past will have an impact on how they behave.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in that anyway. And so you have Nima, for instance. Very early on, she makes a decision to do something that ethically is not ideal.
Yeah.
But hopefully, the more you get to know her, the more you understand maybe why she did it. But also then you see, with the result of doing that. So I'm just interested in that following that.
Yeah, how the consequences of the past can affect the future and
that.
Yes. A lot of people have considered your book like epic fantasy, other people like dark academia, and other people more like a murder mystery. Even, and how would you define your book? A mix of them, or what do you think is the?
Probably a mix. I try not, when I'm writing, not to think too much about that, because I love all of those genres.
Yeah.
But if I was trying to write to them, I think I would feel not restricted, but it would affect my writing.
Yeah.
Whereas if I don't define.
Yeah. More freedom.
Then the story, that I follow the story more from the base of the character. But that being said, I do love, epic fantasy, and I do love a good murder mystery. So. And once I realised I was writing both, then it's a lot of work. But I loved trying to weave them together. It's just from a structural point of view, it's a challenge, but I quite enjoyed that.
And also the difference between writing a crime novel, where it's more like all the logics and all the reality, and then rather than doing a world building when you have the freedom to imagine things and you don't have rules.
Well,
or maybe you have
you
your
think
own
you
rules.
have to. If you don't have rules for murder mysteries, it makes it doesn't work, because you could go, I could magic that.
Oh, this is convenient. I will do
it's too good. So you almost have to. I've found anyway, certainly with the magic in the book, there isn't very much, but what there is there's very much an effect. Like if you use a spell, there is a consequence. And the line in the book is, every spell casts a shadow. So, and it's true, certainly with a murder mystery, I wouldn't use magic to solve that. I'm also a member of in the UK of this historical club called the Detection Club, and you have to swear an oath to. It's jokey, but you have to swear an oath never to use, tricks to with a murder mystery. So
That's
so
really
I have to,
interesting. And my next question will be how did you come up with the idea of doing a mortal competition? Because I feel like competition for the throne is something that it could be a mixture of high fantasy, but maybe also the Hunger Games or something like that, but not as quite. I think it's like another style, but it kind of reminds me how much we like mortal competitions in this kind of fantasy books.
Yes, they're fun. Well, I mean, they're not fun for the people doing it. But I like the idea of this world where I like the concept that you had someone ruling for a certain amount of time, and then you had people coming in to compete, and that it was across a range of talents. But I always say, I don't think this is a good way to run.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not endorsing it. I'm not suggesting it's a way to go. And of course, it's really flawed. If you think about the people that are even able to compete.
Yeah.
So it's also a good way to show how actually, although the society says, anyone could be a contender, anyone could fight for the throne. That's not true.
No.
The more you read on, the more you realise it. How controlled it is, maybe, and who can and can't compete, and how much even you're allowed to win. Without no spoilers, but it's not an equal. It's not as equal as it might seem. So I like that, and then a fight platform, and
yes.
I like the mix.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of. There's a martial arts movie called The 36th Chamber of Shaolin, and that has a lot of. It's a different. It's not. They're not competing for the throne, but it's a series. It's a series of trials that are seem to be one thing, but add up to more.
Okay.
And so I was a bit influenced by that too.
And my next question will be, when you started writing, because this is a trilogy, we all know, and people are like eagerly waiting for the second book and the third book. And when you started writing this story, did you know that it was going to be a trilogy, or like maybe you thought it was going to be maybe only 2 books, or like a longer series, or how did you come up with the plan of doing a trilogy?
I did want it to be a trilogy. I didn't know if my publisher would want it. So I wrote a synopsis and some sample chapters, and just a general sense of where the story would go, just to see if they would even consider it, because I had written historical crime and I wasn't sure if they would be interested in the moving genre. I knew I wanted to, but you don't know.
Yeah.
And luckily they did really love the material, so they offered then for me to do a trilogy. So that was lucky. And
I mean, like I said, you did a great job. So
well, but to take not to take it, they took a risk because it was a small sample. They didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know. The whole thing.
So that was that allowed me to start writing, and I started writing just around the pandemic, so it was a strange time, but I did end up being very immersed, obviously, in that first book. But it also gave me the time to really think about the whole world. I'd done quite a lot for the outline, but it just gave me even more time to really, what's the word? But to immerse myself, because that is why I love fantasy in the first place, is that I love to be immersed in the world. It's true of all the books that I love, even, whether it's historical or anything, there's still worlds that you're being welcomed into by the author. And so any book that I feel immersed in, but that's what I wanted to write, but also what I wanted to feel as I was writing. So I was lucky with that they allowed me, that the publishers gave me that
Believe
space.
in you.
They gave me that space to do that.
Yeah.
Because it was they might have said no, and not so that gave me the chance to really focus on the first one, and now I'm busy writing book 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when can we expect the second book?
When I've written it. I'm very deep in it now, so I think we hope to publish next year in the UK. So, but
we hope to be publishing like more or less around the same time. The closer, the better. I just wanted to give the word to them, just in case they have any specific questions. A lot of them.
Sí. So, I will do it in English. Well, first of all, congratulations on the book.
Thank
because
you.
It was amazing. I was so obsessed with it.
Oh, thank you so
Really, really
much.
obsessed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. So, well, I have a lot of questions, but I will just pick one. Without trying to not make any spoilers for the people who didn't read. But there are quite a few, like, big plot twists on the book that were mind-blowing. So the question is, during the previous work of writing the book, do you have like everything like well structured, all the plot twists, or in some of them or some parts you were writing it and then it come to you like, you know what? How about we?
Yeah,
we did that.
that's a really good question. I think both. I think some. I really plot the big moments. And some of obviously, the very big twist towards the end, I always knew that because it informs so much of what happens. So it's the really big moments like that. And I always know how the book is going to end. And obviously, I know how the trilogy is going to end and so on. So those big moments, I know. But then as I'm writing, other little things start to click, and I'm sure quite a few writers here will know what that feels like, maybe you too, where you put something in just as a throwaway little comment, and then 10 chapters down the line you're like, now that's my subconscious told me to, put that in. So it's a mix. But I do have a very clear timeline. Otherwise, mistakes, and you have to fix them so much further down the line, which would be tricky. But yeah, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Siguiente.
El libro tiene una mezcla de mix in between fantasy and murder mystery. We also have a bit of romance. The second book, can we expect something similar or something quite different?
Oh. I don't know how much I want to give away. It's a very good question. It's a very because if you can, I think with the second book, if you've read the first one, you'll know that. It's so difficult without spoilers, but the characters have moved into a new arena, if you like. It won't be the same. It won't be the same, But you know that. Yes, sorry, that's not a very good answer. And just try. I'm being a bit. I don't like to define when I'm writing it. That it's a bit goes back to my question, to an earlier question about when I'm writing. Was it a murder mystery or was it this? And it's almost like I haven't finished it. It's not set, so that's not a very good answer. I'm sorry. It's a better question than an answer. So.
El libro a mí me recuerda un poco
Reminds her
a
to
Juego de Tronos
Game of Thrones.
a la hora de cómo juegas con los personajes. Que te
with
los
the
vas
characters
presentando
like the
y
same
luego
as in Game
pasan
of Thrones,
cosas
because
con
you
los
introduce them
personajes
and then after you
en
just change
general.
them completely throughout the novel.
Pasan cosas, van pasando cosas. Tenías, es un poco lo que preguntaba Nieves, ¿tenías un poco en mente lo que iba a pasar con todos esos personajes desde el principio, antes de escribirlo?
Yeah.
Sí.
Thank you. Yeah, I think yes. Most of the characters, as I said, because I drew their backgrounds before I started writing the novel. Particularly the main characters, Nima, Cain, Ruko, particularly, but also Yazilla and really any of them, the kind of main characters. Some of the contenders changed as I wrote. Shal, I think, changed the most, but I did, because I had their backgrounds. I did know that how they were going to develop. I obviously knew what was going to happen to Ruko as well. Spoiler. But so that did inform how I presented them from the beginning, I think. I like to see the characters change. I also really like characters who stay exactly the same, though. I do, I like that Benna, for instance, is just a joyful, kind, positive, person who, despite having a very difficult childhood, she's an optimistic, fun, sweet person, and I know people like that, and I think I don't want all my characters to sort of be angst and tortured. I mean, Ruko handles most of that, so.
Yo quiero saber que si tú estarías, o sea, si tú estuvieras en este
If you were
mundo
in
y
this
demás,
world,
¿con qué dios te asociarías?
with
¿Cuál es
which
el
god
test
would you
o
identify with,
¿Cuál y por qué?
and
Claro.
why?
It's well, I think I know. I did this survey myself, as well. So I came out mainly raven, but and a bit of monkey, and a little bit of ox. See, because I could go and look at I knew all the answers, so I could do get a little bit more. But actually, I think I'm a fox. I think underneath. Because if you go back to the question when someone was asking me about, the gentleman was asking me about, is it mystery? Is it this? I'm not going to tell you. It could be 7 things at once, So I think there's at least a little bit of me that's foxy.
Which was the hardest character to write, and your favorite character?
Right. I think Ruko sometimes could be hard because he's so rigid. But that's what makes him interesting as well, because then when you're writing, you have to work with where he won't do certain things, so you have to kind of find a way through. And there was one scene where I kind of needed him to explain something, but I knew as I was writing it, he just it wouldn't be in his character to do that, so I had to find a way around. So he could be difficult, but it's always interesting, and I'm enjoying writing him in book 2. There you go. There's a. Sometimes it would just be one chapter that I just suddenly really enjoyed writing. I enjoyed writing that character in that moment. Or so even characters like the High Commander Vabras, who is very blank. I purposely don't even describe what he looks like. That's for the reader to decide. But there's a moment towards the end where you just see a little bit, and so I really enjoyed that, where you suddenly just see another glimpse of a character.
Una última pregunta para que la tenga.
You did say you had no questions.
Too close to say no. So, of all the trials that you write, do you have like a favorite trial, like one of the tests that, I don't know, that you think, you know what, this is like fun writing it, or like thinking about it or like
Yeah.
how it developed?
Thank you. Yeah, I did really like the Hound trial, which is the one where they ran around the perimeter, because in some ways it's so simple. I like the fact that Vibras came up with it because it's cheap and you can measure it, and there's no, it's, so I like that. But then I like once it got going, because it's so simple, it allows you to see all of the contenders, at their purest in a way, because, say, will Ruko help Tala, for instance? Cain, of course, loves it, and so it's, being on kind of, 100 feet up in impossible situation, it is ideal for him. He likes, everyone else to feel slightly, what's the word? Sorry.
One of the elements.
He likes that everyone else is behind him. That he's, and then of course it ends up being then very dramatic. So it goes from being what appears to be a straightforward run, really, just a run, into something more dramatic. I don't know. I don't want to spoil for people. But also it in terms of what happens, it also starts to put in just a signal that the palace is not, because it. Sorry, I can't. It's spoilers again, but it's. Do you see? So like literally and as a metaphor, what's happening? Yeah. Okay. And there's a big storm, so that's always fun to write.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Well, thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here
everyone.
with us this afternoon.
Well, can I say beautiful questions from everyone. Beautiful outfits. You all look so gorgeous, and in this setting as well. As I said, this is my first time talking outside of the UK about the Raven Scholar, and I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate. So thank you very, very much. Thank you. And thank you, Anna.
Thank you.